Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. And it's a nice night for learning. And there's many different ways to learn. There's many different ways you can acquire wisdom and knowledge. We tend to act as if there's only one way to do things. And I truly want to get people out of that. There's many ways to tie your shoe. There's many ways to do everything. Now, there's many different ways that you can acquire knowledge. Me, myself, I acquire knowledge through observation. But there's a catch-22 to everything. So you can acquire knowledge by reading. But you have to be able to comprehend what you're reading. So it's a deep thing. A lot of people, they cheat themselves. We'll read a book halfway through. Put it to you like this. The ancient text, the religious texts, these are the most up for debate books that we have. Yet, 90% of people have not completely read them. Just be real with yourself. If you're watching, ask yourself, have you truly read the whole entire Bible? So this is what I mean when I say you have to comprehend what you read. Now, when you're trying to acquire knowledge or wisdom, you can get it through reading. But the thing is, you have to understand what you're reading. You have to comprehend it. You can gain wisdom from observation, as I do. But you have to comprehend what you're observing. We all can see, but can you understand what you see? We all see a tree. But can you understand the tree? Can you see how the tree sprouts from the ground? How the veneers or the branches sprout from the tree? How the branches sprout from the veneers? And this never stops. The branches grow branches from the branches. So you have to understand what you're observing. And it has to connect to something or whatever it is that you're trying to grasp. So you can gain knowledge a great deal of ways, but comprehension is the main thing. And most people do not comprehend what they read because they don't read in entirety. They just skim read. Most people, they see but they don't observe and truly look for the correlation in whatever it is they're trying to grasp. So it's a deep thing. Now I want everybody to understand, you can learn a great deal a lot. I'm sorry, that came out so wrong. You can learn a great deal of information from just observing your face. Grasp. You have pairs of everything on your face, but just one mouth. But in that lies a deep, deep understanding and lesson of life. Now grasp. You have two ears, and they're far apart. But they lead to one sound. So you have two ears, they're far apart. But they lead to one sound. Then you have your eyes. They're not as far apart as the ears, but they're still separate. But they only lead to one sight. So it's a deep thing. You have two eyes separate from one another, but they only lead to one sight, just like the two ears lead to one sound. Now you have two nostrils. And they're not as far apart as the eyes, but they're still separate by a little piece of skin. So the ears are far apart, the eyes begin to get closer, the nostrils get closer. Then you get to the mouth, just the one. You don't have a pair of mouths, just one. And this is knowledge from the life, the creator. Grasp. The life is separate, but it is one. Two ears, they're far apart. But as you go through the face, it all goes to one. So the ears are far apart, they're holes. These holes are far apart. These holes get closer. These holes get even closer. And then it becomes the one. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. Now your nostrils, they go to one. Your eyes, they go to one. One sight, one smell. Your ears, they go to one point. So this is what I'm trying to say. Your eyes, they go to one point. Your nose goes to one point. Everything goes to one point. It appears as two, but it's just one. And this is how we have to be in the life. It's a very deep thing. It's almost as if people do not want to acquire any knowledge for themselves. I tend to hear a lot of people say, this brother said, or that brother said. And this is how they have discussions of knowledge. And I just do not understand this. Makes no sense. If your rebuttal or your response in a conversation is this person said or that person said, then that should show you that you have no knowledge for yourself or of self. Because to have knowledge your own self, you have to have some sort of sense of self. Yet, I continuously hear everyone saying this. This Dr. Sebi said, or this person said. And it's annoying because it's like, what do you know? If I'm speaking to you and you say this person said or that person said, it means nothing because I'm talking to you. What do you know? When I speak what I know. You don't hear me referencing other men. I reference the life. That's the only reference. A book is a man's writings, which is his words or his thoughts. Because writings, words, thoughts, they're all one and the same. You think it, you speak it, you write it. It's all the word. But my point is, what do you know? And it's the deepest thing that people have to begin to look at self. This is the beginnings of acquiring knowledge. If you know nothing, then you have to start there. I taught y'all the sperm is the spirit. You've never heard anyone say this before. So this is what I know. And I break down many things that I know that others do not, or that no one's ever said, like Einstein, Tesla, George Washington Carver, many others. When they broke things down, it was what they discovered in the life, or what they understood in the life that had not been discovered or understood as of that time. So this is what I mean by the sperm is the spirit. I teach that. I know that. No one else knows that in that perspective. Like how they bring forth their knowledge. Now, very few people in today's times do this. Everybody's just reiterating what the next person said. And this is because no one's observing and learning from life themselves. Now, everyone is supposed to have a perspective, but if everyone is learning from the same books and learning from what the same person said, then where's perspective? There's nothing more frustrating than to be wise. And a lot of people don't realize this. They say, Solace, you're mean. I'm not mean. It's a matter of levels of consciousness. When you're wise, there's nothing more frustrating than being around common thinking people. It makes your blood boil. Now, most of y'all can't grasp that, and this is why y'all assume Solace is out of balance. He's angry. He's mean. It's only because I'm interacting with you. That simple. And this is not an insult or a disrespectful video in any sense. I want y'all to truly grasp what I'm saying. Because if knowledge is what y'all all pulling for, this is what you have lying ahead waiting for you. A great deal of frustration and a certain level of stress. But if you're a strong person who's been through a lot, you'll be able to deal with the stress of wisdom. Because a lot of people think wisdom is the best thing you can get, but everything has a flip side to the coin. So wisdom is a very frustrating thing, because once you begin to become smart, it doesn't necessarily mean everyone else is going to rise in conscious. So now who do you talk to? There's times I want to have deep intellectual conversations, but I can't find anyone that can go deep with me, because everyone's repeating what they heard or read, or reiterating or altering something that was read or said already. And it's a deep thing. I like to have conversations on the up and down quark and the gluon and what precedes that. But we don't need the words, just the understanding, because we get lost in words. And nothing truly has a name or a word. We're all named. So you don't have a name, you're you. And that's all that matters. Now, your parents gave you a name to separate you from your siblings or other people, just so you know when they're speaking to you, they can call. I don't know why we are named, because you don't need a name to be spoken to. You don't need a name for anything unless you're a slave and you have to be kept track of. So that's the only purpose I see for a name. But words don't matter. Nothing is named. The sky's name is not sky. The ground is not called ground. So you have to grasp. We only use the words when conversing so that we'd all be on the same page, so to say. So if I say the fufu, you like, what is that? But that's my word for ground, let's say. So this is why we have words. But the understanding just has to be there. Now, I like to have deep intellectual conversations on things like the up and down quark, the gluon, and just deep things like, can you get a multiple, like how the atom, you have multiple electrons and proton neutrons within one atom. Can you have multiple up and down quarks and gluons in one complete system, so to say? I don't know if I'm questioning it right, but I like to have deep conversations like that. I like to have conversations of the atom and its correlation to the solar system, and how we have more than one sun in our solar system, because it is just a reflection of the atom, or the atom is I said it right. It's a reflection of the atom, or it's an atom on the macro. And I like to have deep intellectual conversations, but I can't find anyone who has their own thoughts, almost, so to say. People begin to reiterate what science said already. I know science. I know what they said. I know what Dr. Sebi said. I know what everything y'all say. I heard that already, and I know what they said. But now I want to know what you know. And if you don't know nothing except what they said, well, then get started now. Go learn something so we can converse. Because a lot of times people get cursed out because they ain't got no mind of themselves. You keep telling me what other people said. I heard what they said. What do you know? I know this. No one knows that. Let's discuss this. But we can't, because you don't know nothing except for what everybody already know. And it's a deep thing. This is why all the knowledge we have is like scrambled and scribbled and scrabbled up and confused. Because no one has their own perspective. Everybody's adding on to someone. Everyone's adding on to what someone else said. Not even fully grasping what the person said and if it's correct. We actually have knowledge that is documented as fact. That is in fact. We have documented knowledge that is fact, that is a build on of some other foundation of knowledge that was never proven to be fact. If you can grasp what I'm saying. Someone to bring forth some information. And then you'll get more information built on top of. I'll give you a perfect example. You have flat earth. Now this information was brought forth some time ago. A lot of y'all are new to it, and this is why y'all be so lost into it, but it's deep. Flat earth was brought forth, the information. Now it hasn't been proven fact, but you see how so much more information over time and over the years has been added on to flat earth? Yet, flat earth is not even proven to be a fact. Now, flat earth will never be proven to be a fact because it makes no sense. And you don't even have to be smart to grasp this. You have a thing called dimension in volume, width, length, height, and this correlates with the earth. Now grasp. You cannot get dimension, length, width, height in flat. Grasp that. Y'all speak of flat earth, then y'all speak on knowledge that is multi-dimensional. You cannot correlate two things that make no sense. A flat earther they'll say something like, aliens are coming from another dimension of earth. There's like two sides of earth, or two realms of earth. And it's like, how do you get that with flat? It's no thought being put into these things. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. The sky is a part of earth. You can dig miles deep into earth. This is not flat. Nothing is flat. What sense would that make? Why would something living in life be flat? I just don't grasp. Y'all have to get some sort of foundation and then build on that. Because as of now, y'all pull for anything. Anything makes sense to you when you truly know nothing. So this goes back to the beginnings of what I said. All y'all do is reiterate what this person said, what this person wrote, and you never learn anything for yourself. And then when someone says something, then you reach for it and it makes sense to you, and it's just truly because you know nothing. And it's a deep thing. I had to get out of that, and I'm sure all wise men who've acquired the level of knowledge that I'm on, I'm sure they have all had to come to that point in their life in order for them to acquire the knowledge. They had to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I don't know nothing. All I know is what all these people keep saying. But what a person say don't really mean anything. There has to be a source for me to learn from. This was me 10 years ago. Like, what, 35? 10 years ago, this was me. I'm tired of listening and just knowing what other people say. There has to be a source. You have to get frustrated with yourself in order to get tapped in and get true understanding. You have to be honest and real with self, and you have to get frustrated with yourself and really look in the mirror and say, man, all I know, I had to really look at myself and say, everything that I know boils down with what someone said, or what I heard, or what I read. But what does this have to do with truth in myself? I know about life because what somebody said. So this was me, and this is what I had to deal with self. And this is where a lot of y'all are. Y'all know in y'all heart, okay, I know a great deal of things, but they're pretty much just what other people said, what I read, what I might have seen on TV. But I'm not truly learning from any source, so I don't know if it's really what. And I was at that point. And I said, man, it has to be a source that I can learn from that can't be altered. And that's when I began to learn from the life. All the things I read, seen, heard, that was cool, but it wasn't no stamp on it to say that it was truly real. I read the Bible when I understood it, but I'm like, it's no stamp to tell me that this book is truly true. That's when I started learning from the life, which can't be altered. Learn from observing the tree, to correlate it to things that I read, heard, seen. Now I have a base foundation of knowledge to pull from, which is my observation of the life. Whatever is written or spoken, it is a thought that's coming from an observation in life. Whatever you read in the Bible, the Quran, ancient Kemetic, it is those people or the author's observation of life or something that he is trying to do in the life. Even lies. If a man writes lies, well, he is trying to trick people into something. So you have to grasp, you have to get an understanding. I learned from life. Therefore, when I read things and I go over things, I have a complete understanding. And it's a deep thing a lot of y'all have to grasp. It's not hard to learn from life. The thing is, y'all don't have no confidence in yourselves, being as though all y'all do is learn from what you heard and what you read. But you got to take baby steps. You got to do it. Because there's a lot to be learned. Life and death is not a secret. Knowing what happens to you when you die is not a secret. And you don't have to depend on what a book said or what another man said. Life shows you any question you have. Now, if you're new to this channel, type in my name in depth. If you want to go in depth on what happens when you die. You can pretty much type in whatever question you have in my name on YouTube and just watch the video. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. We have to get to a level to learn. There's nothing more frustrating than being wise around common people. It's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Y'all still like in goofy stages. Even the teachers that teach, they're still sort of in a goofy stage of knowledge. Because we pull for stuff that makes no sense. I'll challenge someone on knowledge and then they'll say some goofy stuff that has nothing to do with what was said as far as knowledge goes. So it's like, I'll say something, I'll say a teacher's wrong in what he's teaching. And people will look at it as if I'm tearing that person down. How is someone being wrong a tear down? If you're wrong, you're wrong. We have to get out of this foolish. It's too much defense mechanisms put up. But this is all because of business. I'll get into that in a minute. But it's defense mechanisms put up. And this is how all that foolishness happens. So if I say this, if I say all the teachers don't know anything they're talking about, I'm tearing them down. Even if I'm right. So where's truth left in that balance? Mind you, there's nothing wrong with saying a person is wrong if you prove it. So I don't see the point. But it's a deep thing I have to grasp. It's business that messes everything up. We live in a business state. This is why y'all are in competition in every sense and aspect of life, even with knowledge. If I challenge someone in the knowledge, I am not competing with them. I'm seeing how far or how deep their conscience goes. Y'all compete. Therefore, when y'all debate, there's never a winner. Because no one never admits when they're wrong or anything. It's just repeated foolishness. And we have to get out of these things. We have to get to a place of truth, real knowledge, balance, fairness, these type of things. It's too unbalanced. It's too goofy. And this is all because of business. When you have business, you have slaves. And slaves have to compete against one another. This is how they think in order to get favor. Because when you're dependent on another person, well, you want to be in their good favor. And we all have this type of mentality. And it's a deep thing. Business takes away from y'all morality and y'all principles. A brother will be teaching and have 1 million followers. Let's say I say something that he teaches that's completely different. Now he'll know I'm right because what I say makes more sense. But do you think he'll admit that to his 1 million followers? Or do you think he'll continue teaching what he was teaching and just keep his 1 million followers? Because this is business. And this is where we at. You lose principles and morals and truth when you're dealing with business. I don't care if it's even the knowledge business. See, when you're dealing with business and you're dealing with food, you're not going to get fresh, true food. You're going to get whatever you get because it's business. Once a price tag is put on something, production is the only concern. Quality doesn't matter. Quantity does. We got to get this out. So you're going to get whatever kind of food you get. And it's going to say the greatest food in the world on the label, but you just have to have a brain to know. When you're dealing with business, everything's going to be corrupted and altered because people have to reach their quota, whatever it is that they want to reach. So if you're sick, the doctor going to tell you that you need to be prescribed medicine. Now, all medicine is basically synthetic nutrients and vitamins and things that come from fruits, vegetables, and plants. So this is all pills are. Synthetic iron or vitamins, things like this. The doctor doesn't tell you to go get that. It tells you to get the pills. Because doctors don't get paid off agriculture. They get paid off synthetic drugs. So if you sick, then the doctor tell you, man, you need to get this medicine. Now, do you really need that medicine? No, because it's going to make you addictive and all this crazy stuff that come with it. But they make more money on the comeback because that's how the drug game go. I don't care if it's the legal drug game or the illegal drug game. The comeback is the point. And this is my point. When you're dealing with business, you don't matter. Your health, quality, these things don't matter. You get what you get. And it's the same with knowledge. When people make knowledge a business, now I'm not saying you should not be paid for what you know, but when what you know becomes a business where you like, all right, whatever I teach has to be right because I got a whole bunch of people following, so I can't admit I'm wrong. When it gets to that point where the morality is lost, then your knowledge is now a business. And it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. There's many people with a bunch of followers who are teaching wrong. And this is the decision that they're stuck with on a day-to-day basis. They know what they're teaching is wrong because they've heard the truth. Not saying that they taught you wrong on purpose. They taught what they thought was truth. They may have heard something that kind of blew what they believed out the water. And now they're stuck with that dilemma day to day. Devil and angel. Should I tell them the truth? Or should I just stick with what I've been doing, being as though I'm getting paid to do this? You got brothers teaching comedic science. Now, I'm sure most people have heard my last few comedic video. And it makes complete sense. And it basically just shows that whatever they teaching don't really make no sense. But do you think they're going to admit and say, yo, you know what, I think Solace is right? No. Where does that leave them in their mind? And it's a deep thing. This is where we are in life. This is why I say y'all need to learn for yourselves. Because you ain't going to learn nothing in no truth if you dealing with men. When I say men, I mean women, men, mankind. You ain't going to get no truth out of mankind. As long as mankind is living their way. Life provides a certain way in order to live. We live our own way in order, the way we want. As long as man is living that way, which is basically business, then you just can't expect to have no truth. You're buried in a box. Now, you're not supposed to be buried that way. I don't even want to go into that. Like I said, you can type in my name, how to be buried, Solace O'Larry, and go in depth if you want to know about that. But the way we're buried is wrong. But funeral homes make money off caskets. Therefore, you're encouraged to bury your dead in a casket. Now, if the funeral parlor finds out that burying people in caskets is not the proper way, do you think they'll stop selling caskets? Caskets are $5,000 and up. The cheapest casket you're going to get is about $5 grand. And it's probably